de-annexation of southeast Shreveport.
I'm turning off the spigot on you guys.
The what was that
No
word?
more water for you.
Wait.
I'm turning off the spigot.
The spigot.
Yeah.
I think she means spigot, but I think you understood what she meant.
I understood what the
Okay, good.
It's spigot in the South.
Absolutely.
You bet. So no more water for you guys. Go get your own dang water.
Well, fortunately, there are laws in place to prohibit that from happening.
Then I'm going to charge you 5 times as much.
You can't do that either. There's regulations that allow for the amount that we can be charged, and also there's the opportunity to start a water district, which would eventually service the area.
Are schools part of this? Right now, I know in the Grayson district, where the Butcher district where I am, there's only University Elementary. I know there's a push for years,
Because that was the St. George issue. That started the St. George
school down along Ellerby Road in that area. Is that part of your beef with the city also?
That's not really part of it, though. I'm sure down the road that would be a developing issue for a new city. This is and each time a entity tries to de-annex or start their own entity, there's particular reasons for that. And Robert and Aaron, this for us in Southeast Shreveport, we see this as an opportunity to bring enterprise to the area, to bring new businesses. Let's face it, Shreveport is not and has not been business friendly for decades.
Mr. John, your stance is, your collective stance, the two of you and your organization and a lot of people in your neighborhoods, is this is good for everybody.
Absolutely. It's a win-win. If the new entity can bring in jobs, we have the expansion room to do that. We also have the integrity to sit down and talk with businesses.
Mr. Sinek, hey, Shreveport, lucky for you, we're not going to burden you with our tax dollars anymore.
It doesn't always have to be about the tax dollar issue. I mean, I know everybody keeps coming back to that, but, there's obviously many different ways for a municipality to run itself and the guiding principles of that municipality. Right now we've got a city of Shreveport that wants to pass massive bond deals that, did not get much support in the area that's talking about leaving. They have some different ideas. We have departments of the city that are run very poorly, and despite campaign promises and years of efforts, that hasn't really seemed to turn around. So we've got groups of individuals that say we want to see these city departments and perhaps this new municipality be self-sufficient. We want to see these, we want to see a small government. We want to see, a small city council, and maybe a city manager. We don't want, one executive that has, major power and can change things without really being in touch with the will of the people.
Will this include the commercial properties, the Kroger Shopping Center, the Providence Shopping Center? Because that's a lot of tax dollars, too, in terms of sales taxes.
The water sewer plant there at the corner of Uri and the old, right there at East Kings.
Obviously, some of those business areas would be in consideration. Again, depending on where the geographical boundaries are. Providence, I would say absolutely that would be. I think the Foreman area would be inclusive.
The Kroger, all that.
You just can't.
So that's a sales tax hit too, on top of what you already talked about, correct?
It would factor into it, absolutely. But let's also talk about the offsets. We're talking about less Shreveport policemen needed. We're talking about less firemen needed. We're talking about less contributions to the retirement funds, less streets and drainage. So it's not all like we're taking the marbles and going home. That's not it at all. This is a business-based decision that is best for that community.
What could the city do? You guys gain momentum. Looks like you might have a few votes. It's on the city council agenda, or it goes on the ballot for the city, for the people of Shreveport. Let's say you have the election in the area that you determined that Ellerby Park would be, and it's like 90-10, let's leave. And Shreveport calls and says, we got to work something out here. What do you want? What do you want?
I think that goes back to the will of the people. It may be a little too late to do the right thing now, because we have a history of the continuous way that the city
So
of
that
Shreveport is being
Maginot
run.
Line, that Hadrian's Wall, that 38th parallel has been. It's too late, Shreveport.
Did you say Adrian's Wall?
Hadrian's Wall.
Oh, my
but
bad.
Hadrian's Wall is rather appropriate. Is it too late? Is that what you're telling me? It's too late, Shreveport. There's nothing you can do.
Nobody wants to. I mean, I grew up in Shreveport. All of my roots here. Nobody wants to just leave. That wouldn't be the first choice. But like Mr. Lorick said, and many have said, it's repeated things over a period of years. This isn't one mayor's administration, one city council issue. This is, over and over and over the same issues that are not being addressed, that are important to one area. And then there's other areas that are completely, other issues that are important to other areas. And, it's at some point, it's kind of like a bad marriage. You just say, it's time to do the split.
Got time for one more.
I got the one that many people are saying and they're commenting about. You guys are just going to further racially divide our city. You white devils, you.
That is absolutely incorrect. And honestly, I take issue with that and resent that statement. I'm tired of the race card being played. Anytime there's a business decision that's good and sound and there's not a rebuttal answer that's accurate and correct. We are one of the most diverse communities.
Wait a
in
minute.
Shreveport.
What? Come on now.
We have a strong Asian. We have a strong Indian. We have a couple black community.
Absolutely.
Muslims. When you look at Southern Trace and those areas, Lakeside,
12 Oaks.
12 Oaks, very, very diverse. Just because it's not black and white, that's what racism is considered. We are very diverse, much more than the balance of Shreveport is.
So what do you do now? Where do you go?
At this stage, obviously, we still need to, draw some maps and some boundaries. But at the same time, this is we've started a Facebook page. Obviously, having conversations with neighborhoods. So we're going to plan some.
Is that the name, by the way, Ellerby Park?
That's right.
Folks want to go and
Absolutely.
give their opinion or find out more. Just look on Facebook for Ellerby Park.
That's correct. Yes.
So there's a lot of public information that needs to be had. We still need to have conversations with a lot of these areas, and so we plan to have community meetings. With each one of these neighborhoods, and those may extend into other parts of the city as well that may not be in the original boundaries. And then, as we build that information, we know that the conversation, we know that you guys won't let something like this just sit still. He's going to scratch on it every day.
Yeah, he scratches on a lot of things. Yeah.
And so, we know the conversation is going to continue. And, as this develops, then we'll start the process. Obviously, the first step, once we get to that stage, is the petition of the people.
John, in about 30 seconds. Please.
Okay. One thing I think that's very important for people to know, this is not cutting Shreveport off day one. Those millages that are on the books will roll off as they are turned.
And you'll still pay them
and
while
we'll
they're
still pay them.
right,
Even though
right.
we're not part of the city of Shreveport, we'll still have to pay those
So we're going to
millages.
still get our allowance from
You're
you.
going to get the allowance for that time. So it's not like somebody's closing the checkbook and going home.
Right.
Excuse me, gentlemen.
Not the
John
case.
Harris, John Lorick, Ellerby Park on Facebook if folks want more details. Thank you very much for great stuff.